to sit back, snooze, drink your coffee, whatever. My name's Amy Boxberger. I'm with Central Kansas Community Corrections. Every year I come around and do our grant goals for the following year, and then early September I come around again and say how we did on the last year's goals. So if you remember, the state wants us to have no more than 25% of our case closures go to prison, and so that's always kind of the drum roll of how we're doing. And we got 26% again.
No.
Missed it by 0.01.
Oh,
And that's either pass or fail, right?
Yeah.
There's no getting close or more.
Oh, I guess. They don't
Can't
let us
touch
in
that
on our,
one.
they don't, I wish. They don't let us in on our, on the super secret formula for, funding. So, the only thing I don't have in, or the state hasn't figured their percentages. So if there was a person maybe that was revoked in another county before they were revoked in ours, then maybe it would count on their numbers and not ours, but I don't have all of that list. So I'm still holding out that the state numbers will look different than what mine do, but for ours, the year end was 165 on page 2. The 168, oh my, I have 165 and 168 in the, correct that. 100, now I don't know which one it is, I've been saying it wrong this whole time probably. But we had 43 offenders that were revoked and 125 that were not revoked. And then when we're looking at the biggest changes, we've had a lot of prosecutorial changes in the prosecutors in the last couple of years with all of our district except one. We cover Barton, Rice, Ellsworth, Russell, and Stafford counties. And then we also had a change in judiciary. So the first two quarters of fiscal 19 was Judge McPherson's exit, and then the last two quarters of 19 were Judge Hipp getting started. And so there's a lot of change in philosophies. And there was, the first two quarters with Judge McPherson, we had 34% revocation rate, and then we made up the difference to get them just squeaking over that at 26%. So you can see that there was, that just means a lot of, right now, but what that means to us is that there's not a lot of people leaving the program. So we have a lot of people, about the same amount coming on and leaving, but our average daily population continues to grow. Well, we've been cut 2 years in a row, so we've been down one officer, and our average daily population is higher than I've ever seen it since I've been there. And I just got an email this week for last month's average daily population is 306. So, if we divide that between 5 officers and myself helping to manage the cases, it's really hard to provide all of the intensive supervision that we would want to do when you only have the bandwidth for whatever, and you only have the funding. This year, I'm pretty frustrated that we have to use a lot of our cash just to pay the bills. We only had about $11,000 for operating expenses after we paid for salary and benefits, which of course go up. So, it's probably, you hear the same whining from a lot of different agencies that rely on the state for money, and that's what Marissa and I were talking about. Just really wish that we have the capacities for grant writing, but when you're in the trenches, it's really hard to have your eyes up for new funding opportunities. So there's this, we're trying to find and work together if we see something that fits the other to really kind of bounce off and provide some feedback to each other. But so if you ever have any grant people that like writing grants, if somebody
we
volunteers,
got one instead.
you do?
Talk to Carolyn. She
That,
does pretty well.
well, we may do that. That's what we've been just, we still have a lot of you know, on my heart, we've really shifted the last few years, and I've talked to you about it, and I, you know, of course, Stafford County's right along with this, with just understanding the why. And when we talk about poverty and the cycles of generational poverty, and then you add in addiction, and, you know, even just the change of addiction in the last, you know, 20 years has been so extreme. It used to be, you didn't, you know, meth use was few and far between. Now, I mean, give me a pot guy, please. You know, give me somebody that smokes marijuana. You just don't see those people anymore. It's never just pot. And so, it's just changed, and that the generational of that, you know, obviously with juvenile services, that spills into her world with the families that they're raising. So it's a community epidemic that we all need to work together to find some solutions. So it's not, yes, it's about intensive supervision and accountability, but you know, I really promote a change program, and we really want to, you know, make our community safer. So the rest of the goals, of course, you know, just some different cognitive classes, different classes that we need to, and services that we offer, and quality assurances, to make sure that we're doing the best job that we can to operate within our evidence-based practices. But yeah, the big drum roll for now. We'll get there. The people that are leading our program successfully, I truly believe, are more successful than they've ever been. And you know, there's more recovery efforts intact, and so I think that we'll start to see that turn the corner, but it just takes a long time.
I see right now, Carol, so Allie level,
I
poverty level
need
and all that.
to meet this person, Carolyn.
Carolyn Dunn, she's our economic development director.
Oh,
She's
Right
probably
over
right
in the
next
annex.
door in the annex, the next building.
okay.
I mean, they're applying for grants all the time, and they know the wording and
Yeah,
how they
that's
need
what
to
we were
do
just
it.
saying. It's like
Knowing the
even,
jargon.
you know what?
I think it takes you a couple of years to figure it out before you actually
Well,
get
and
it.
that's like, it's kind of like when I'm working on the physical stuff, I have to have it quiet and turn on my math brain. You can't just.
She's pretty good at it too.
You mentioned poverty. Do you think Circles has helped any?
Yes, and it starts the conversation on both ends, because it's not just the people that understand it, that are in poverty and in the program. It's educating middle class of like, they don't think like you. That's why they don't do the same as you. And so I think that that's what I love so much about Circles, is just that holistic. It's not just, hey, refer these people to that program and fix them. It's understanding that it's relationships, and you know, I've facilitated Circles in Brigham for you know, the last 2 classes, and it's just amazing to see the transformation. Yes, in the people, but also just the community being involved too. So, don't you think? Do you see that as a game changer?
I want to believe that. I think there's some good in it.
There is. I mean, it's just, you know, there's always stuff that has to be worked out, you know, and whenever you're managing people, or you're working with people, you know, stuff, people grow at different rates of speed, you know, so.
I wish you could use some script.
Yeah,
Full of
that's,
knowledge.
yeah, of
I
course.
see they have a group in St. John as well as Stafford.
Yeah.
And, you know, the concept of a hand, instead of a handout, a hand up, and just
It's a long.
little teeny tiny, not baby steps, just little teeny tiny steps.
It's mind shifts. You know, some of the outcomes we've really been struggling with, keeping people engaged, that once they're really doing well. And so that's what I was talking to the director actually last night, just, you know, we really need to re-engage some of these people, because their outcomes are amazing. And we need their stories for our future programming, you know. So we've also just started another kind of I think of it as like Circles 2.0 of just a community resilience, not really this, we call it Rise Up Central Kansas. And we're just trying to create that movement of understanding, where are you, just keep talking, don't don't stop. It's not in, but once, I think the secret about circles for the people that are in it is once you take the shame out of where you're at, then you can start to grow. And instead of just feeling, you know, lonely, isolated, shamed of decisions, personal decisions, whatever you have or haven't done. But a lot of those decisions have been made for you at birth, based on what
Yeah.
family you were born into. I mean, how many of the, who opens a paper and sees, oh, so-and-so got arrested, shocker, you know, we've housed their whole families in jail for however long, you know, it's not very often that anyone's pretty shocked about who gets in trouble or who's using meth or whatever. So, so I think that's, once you understand, it's like, oh yeah. So, you know, it's great conversations, but I think that's proof that our communities are healing. But yeah, what's that gonna look like in 10 years? We're not gonna be in the same place.
How do you guys get your funding in Morgan County?
From the Department of Corrections. And it's
No,
not
I
as-
meant for circles.
Oh, circles, we're also paired through Youth Corps, and so a lot of that it's just the, we were talking about that, fundraising and, you know.
Through your churches and the private donations.
mhm,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it's an awesome organization.
So, anyway, I would ask for your approval to submit this report to the Department of Corrections, and I will check, I'm so glad I checked that. Did I? Okay, so I'll correct that, and so,
What's the right number?
so 168, which I actually could just do the math, and then I can tell you.
It's 168.
Yeah.
Once or
Well, it says it, but then
It's written as 165,
Oh.
parentheses, 68.
it says one thing and it prints one.
Yeah, 160.
Okay.
Now, if that's a check, we're back to bouncing.
I mentioned I'm really busy. And understaffed. I'm calling the Stafford County Sheriff to see if we can put a guy in jail in Ellis County, so. This is the world we're living in. It didn't work. Okay. Anyway.
Now, is that for just to approve the report?
Approve to submit this report.
We allow the chairman to sign the report that will be submitted for the Kansas Community Corrections.
Second?
We have a motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Percentage-wise, is there, on the offenders, male and female? Is it half and half?
No.
No?
No, much more men. I mean, I'm going out, I love to say
Well,
like
I'm just-
75%.
Yeah.
Probably more men than, or men than women.
But does it, you don't realize though, if we start more numbers and more that kind of, it seems to me it does.
Yeah.
It's like,
We definitely have had more women down here. You know, and when we speak of, I do one of the classes that we do, we talk about, we do personality stuff, you know, and you have those high-risk people, and then you also have, so there's like the orange people that are more spontaneous, the green people more analytical, the blue people that are more like caring, and the gold people which are more rule followers. And so then, of course, there's a higher population of offenders that are more spontaneous, but also we have the higher of the warm fuzzy people, the green, the blues, and those are those women that are into trouble because of relationships. And so those are those most highest represented, well, obviously not a lot of people, but you know, it's just
And that's what
the nature of it.
even here is the females that are associated with those high-risk, adventuresome young teen boys, and then they want to rebel or whatever, some family rules, and then they get off of that. That's what it is.
So on this, where the state wants you guys to be under 25%, that's basically when somebody has been arrested and before they get sentenced, to where you guys try to get them to work out a program as far as going to classes.
And
or
they,
this
and
or
they
that.
do this as a condition of their sentencing. So instead of going, at sentencing, instead of going to prison, they come on with us. And so then we try to divert those numbers from going to prison. And so we have, so that's how they track our case closures. So sometimes people ask, well, what is the recidivism rate? But that is so complex and hard to track. You know, a lot of the times we have repeat offenders, obviously, but I mean, otherwise no one would, people would be shocked every time we have in the newspaper, but that's too hard to track based on everyone's definition is different. Is it because they got arrested again, or if they went to prison again, or if they, you know, so we just track how the people, our population closes from their, whether they get to prison or not.
So if you have, trying to simplify this down, so if you have 100 people that is your case, they haven't went to the sentencing, they're supposed to work it out with you.
They go to sentencing at the court assigns them to our program. We have 100 people throughout the year that close. We don't want any more than 25 of them to go to prison.
And then the people that end up going to prison are the ones that either come back and they're supposed to,
They
you know,
typically
test.
are on parole.
Yeah.
So if the
break
continuum
their
of
parole.
services, you know, then we have court services, which is lower risk felonies and misdemeanors. Then it's our community corrections, which is the higher risk felonies, and then prison, and then parole is at post-release.
So the people that break their parole or end up going, is it usually because they can't test clean for grades?
A lot of them, typically, you know, because there is such a push for risk reduction efforts, drug use only is probably not what's going to get them to prison. What's going to probably put them to prison is continuing to get new charges. Specifically, like for me, we're going to recommend revocation if a new case involves a firearm, distribution, or person crime. We don't always agree with the prosecutors. You know, then a lot of times they'll see somebody with another possession, or you know, they get arrested for that. Then we don't always have the same recommendation, which is fine. They're about public safety. We're about public safety, but we also have an added risk reduction for community safety. So it's like, for me, every time somebody uses, they could potentially have had possession.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't get too worked up, especially if the case is going to end them right back on our program anyway. So that's probably why they don't see a recommendation of revocation, unless it's just like, come on, this person is, enough's enough.
Yeah.
You know, but that's kind of our gut check, is like, we're not going to sacrifice public safety for all of that. And if that involves a firearm, obviously we're asking for revocation, person crime. And I don't necessarily like drug dealers, you know, or I shouldn't say like.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, my name is Marissa Woodmansey, and I'm the director of the 20th Judicial District Juvenile Services, and I am here also not asking for money. But what the Department of Corrections Juvenile Services has required us as a part of our grant writing submission that we do at the end of the year, or for us back in May and June when we come around and get permission to submit our grants, is for juvenile services, we have a little box that we have to check that says, is there an interlocal cooperative agreement with your counties when you have more than one county? And because we do have more than one county, we have a little Stafford, Barton, Ellsworth, Russell, and Rice, that Warren County will serve as that host. And while the predecessors before me have always operated without an actual, I've not been able to find an actual document that says that there was an agreement in place. However, I believe that they followed what was already in existence under Central Kansas Community Corrections. And so that's what's been followed for the beginning of juvenile services back in 1997 when it was created. And so I am here just asking for support to submit this interlocal cooperation agreement to the Attorney General, that we continue to do business as we have since 1997 with Barton acting as the host county, administrative county. There are specific, I followed this with the assistance of county council, and like if you wanted to take a quick look at it, it just speaks of duration, organization, funding, all of the direct funding from the Department of Corrections. We have go into the Barton County as host county, and then we pay everything out from there. Termination and disposal of property. And so really not a lot would change as we do business. It's just making it formal. The county council that helped prepare this did advise that the Attorney General could kick it out, and I would be back before you again asking for a submission. So they may or may not tell me what was wrong with it. I would hope that they would, but I have to have this completed before our next grant cycle. So.
Why did he think they kicked
I don't know. Mike, do you have thoughts or feedback as to why HEs would kick out an interlocal? Yeah. And I presented it to our JCAB just a couple weeks ago. Tom's on our JCAB, and he came down, and Dan Krug is the county attorney from Russell, and he said that he does feel like the HE would give guidance as to what was not correct. So I'm optimistic that if it was kicked out, that they would provide us that feedback. That way it would make it easier to make corrections. But again, we modeled and followed directly from what was already in existence under Central Kansas Community Correction, changed the jargon to the 20th Judicial District Juvenile Services. And really that was it. Otherwise we followed the exact same. So. Answer any questions or ask for a motion.
Move that we as Board of County Commissioners from Stafford County agree that the interlocal cooperation agreement be a good deal.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Everybody gets to sign.
All right.
Yeah. I would want to give you guys an update. You approved me to submit for reinvestment funds at the end of last year, and that was the money and cost savings for the juvenile offenders not going into out-of-home group homes, foster care and whatnot. And so with those funding, we have the parent project, and we already have 2 classes full, and the first class is a lot of families from Stafford County. So we're really excited to be able to offer that. And so, but I was surprised that the first class was half filled with, and not court orders or anything. They're families that have seen it. And so again, kind of echoing that conversation. Well, she'll need to sign and seal. Okay. So echoing like Amy said, that piece of relationship and whatnot, and so hopefully helping with those parents to.
There's more complex problems now than there ever has been. So, having some direction on addressing those issues, I think is awesome.
I recognize the need help too.
Yeah, first class was already filled before they had gone to training, and then they came back from training, and they were super excited, so we did another quick media campaign and filled up the second class, and so we're on our third waiting list already, so we're really.
How many's in the class?
Trying to keep it to 12 to 15, so, they'll get a meal, it's 3 hours, it's 6 to 9, and so they'll get a meal. Make it look pretty good. So, very excited. It's free, yeah.
And that's in Great Bend?
Right now, we're at Great Bend, but we're hoping to start branching out to all the other counties. Like I said, Stafford has so many, we really talk about coming here. And we do have the funding to do fuel vouchers if so needed, or even just provide direct transportation, and all of them are like, no, we're good. So, but I mean, we'll still offer it if there's a barrier. We want to remove that. We don't want to add anything for the families. So. All right, well, hopefully this works.
Yeah, we
It
might
will.
even went next door.
Yeah, I went to.
We've had some good leads from clinicians.
Yeah. There's one other person in Stafford County that used to do that a lot too. There, she didn't have time or wasn't interested. You might talk to Lisa Cornell. She's now the county, or the school nurse,
Kind of school work.
She used to write a lot of
I
grants.
think she still does.
I
She
think she
dabbles,
still
I think.
does.
I think she does stuff. for the
What
city.
school?
At
Same
City.
job. School nurse.
Well, I know, you know, because that might be good, that kind of fits right in with kind of our target population. I feel really to move our shakers up. Can I snack this?
Yeah, she would recognize that, and so would Carolyn, I think, it'd be helpful to both of us.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks.
You guys.
Yeah, thank you.
And did you get my email I sent last? Stuff is on there.
I did. Awesome, yeah, keep me posted.
Yeah, so really excited about that.
Good.
So,
Thank you.
I'll make a motion, we adopt the minutes of September 4th.
Second.
Want a motion to accept the September 4th minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. No taxable corrections?
No.
It's about a year around.
I had a phone call, I think it was Friday, Saturday, maybe something, from Julie Line. I had some questions as far as the letter that Rob had sent to the Stafford. I visited with Rob, and me and Rob both went over there and met with him, with the mayor, the city attorney, and the clerk. And I feel like we answered, clarified some of the questions that they had, hopefully.
Yes, I am. I brought enough copies for everybody. Just we made like a ton of them whenever we were up there. So we looked at explorers and edges so that I could look at the back of them and just see how big the space is for what we need it for. I think an edge would be easier because it's only got 2 rows of seats instead of 3. If we got a used one, it was gonna be almost the exact same amount as anyone.
Even with 2016.
Yeah, with a bunch of miles on them. It was, yeah, because they had a big rebate thing going on them. So, they have this one, he put the pricing, that's what he, like all the writing on there, but is with the rebate and the discount and everything. So the bottom is the price. And they will have that brought in at the end of the month. They're having it brought in, so it's not even on the lot, but I looked at some brand new ones that are
So is the eight-
exactly the same.
Is the 850 the government discount?
Yes.
So they went to do just the discount and they said, well, it's not, It's not taking off as much as it would be doing the rebate. So he did the rebate with a smaller discount instead, because it was only gonna be $1,000 worth of discount alone, so.
So they wouldn't want the rebate versus the discount.
Yeah, they looked at both and they went with what was gonna be more of a discount, so the rebate was gonna be a better deal. And yeah, I looked at a 16 and like I said, it was only like $1,500 less and it had a bunch of miles on it.
Silver?
Yeah,
Already
silver
can
with
see that.
tan interiors up on the top. So it won't be hot.
So you're gonna have to get red lights and sirens put on?
I don't think
Do
so.
you put a logo on your vehicle?
We didn't have one on the Blazer, so.
The magnetic.
Yeah,
Magnetic, you mean it just sticks on there?
That's what Carl has.
I like that Fraser had.
You don't lose it off of it?
No.
They never have.
I've had some that did.
Who do you guys have do your?
Our logos and fossils do our decals. But like Mark's custom signs and everything, I'm sure.
We'll do it.
And do magnetic?
the Trenton Taylor printing too, they do all of our printing, and they have our logo there too, so.
That's the ones we've lost.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm not saying he's not as good, but
I mean, I've
they don't
always,
blow off at
for
74
like my
miles.
semi-dual panels, I've always had break unit in mine. But it's a sticker that they put, like, you're on there, but you can take that off, buff it off.
That's whatever,
Yeah.
I just think they need to be marked.
And you guys basically will just use that for like going to conferences anytime you're going.
Conferences, if we go like, for flu clinics, we'll use that. If we, I would probably like to do checks with the grocery stores, take it too. So like if we go over to Stafford and check grocery store real quick,
We do blood pressure.
and blood pressure clinic over at Stafford too. And every now and then, a nursing home will call us and ask us to bring like a pneumonia shot or something like that for a new resident, so we would take it to them
You
too.
could have for your residential checks on.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
Indian.
when the Blazer did work, that was what I would take to go do residential checks too.
How heavy is that fridge that you guys use for doing vaccines? I mean, is it short getting in out of there?
It's kind of, but not bad. I mean, it's heavy, but it's not so heavy that one person can't
You
do
don't
it
need a
themselves.
forklift.
No, we don't need a forklift.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably 30, 40, 50 pounds, but it's not
Okay. So it's
outrageous, yeah. And with two people doing it, it's a big deal at all.
I didn't know whether they figured out some way where you can leave it in there and park it in the shed and plug in the car or it's got 110 to it, or it sounds like it'd probably be just as easy to like leave it inside.
Yeah, and with not, like, the main time that we use it is for flu clinics, so it's only around this time of year that we get it out and use it that much.
Well, it does have
anyway.
110 outlet,
Yes, it does.
so you could leave it in there for a day or two. and just-
Yeah, so like during flu clinic time, like we would probably just leave it in the vehicle. But whenever we're not using it, we would bring it back in and store it like we normally do.
Now that 110 outlet only works on weather, right?
I know.
Okay.
Or if they're gonna overnight, they could use an extension cord.
Okay.
But I thought it'd be a lot handier rather than, oh, tonight we gotta take it out, but tomorrow we gotta load it back in.
Yeah.
You know, in those days, that it could just be left in and then just,
Because once you get it cooled down, it always stays really cool. Anything you plug in, you just don't know.
Yeah. Which that's what we would do, we would unload it and bring it in because we didn't have something to plug it in with the other vehicle. And we just bring it in and keep it plugged in so it was stay full the whole time we were doing it. That way we didn't have to do the whole process of putting it full again, so.
Well, I make a motion, we purchase the Edge from Army Motors for the health department for $27,685.
Sorry.
We have a motion and a second, purchase an edge for the health department for $27,685. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. As far as the placard on the side, I mean, that'll just be like a little health department county circle
They
thing.
have a logo, I don't know what they say.
It's the logo that's on the sign out front. It's kind of round and then has like a family and it says Denver County Health Department around it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Which we have that logo at the health department too, so whoever we use, we can get the logo to.
I guess you could try magnetics if you lose it, but that was just a good deal.
Carl's never, always had magnetic for his place, so they never, but, I mean, it's up to you. Personally, I would get something like this on there, so we just worry about it.
Yeah.
We used to take it off every time we get out.
Cause I mean, Phillips things aren't that big on this truck.
And like if we're gonna trade it in or sell it, I mean, it takes like 15 minutes to buff off. Because of both semis that I've had replacard, I mean, they buffed off the other names and then put my name on it.
Okay.
So then you can't sell the name.
Okay. I will look into that. Thank you.
Do you park that inside, or do you have?
We park it
something?
underneath the awning out back,
Okay.
so we'll be right there.
Right by the back door.
Right by the back door, so we can just jump right in.
Does this have remote start?
I don't know. I looked through the list, but I don't remember reading that.
Did you get the county guys to come down and do the limb removal?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, it's all taken care of.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd be surprised if it didn't.
It's too fine a print for me.
I can't read it either.
You know, that's kind of what I found on trucks when I was up with 3/4 ton trucks. You go find a truck with 50,000 miles on it, it's within this $2,000 to buy a new truck.
You don't have the rebate, you don't have the warranty, so you're not.
Yeah.
Try to pull you back in
It's
for
got.
blind spot.
Well, no more miles than you put on it, you would think last time. I would recommend
It gets 8-9 years old. We should, even if it's only got 80,000 miles on it, then we should consider trading it on while it still has some value.
Yeah.
It seems like the county has a bad problem with keeping them until they have 210 when they're 18 years old. And we give them the gym for crushing.
That's 8 couples.
I don't really
Check out
about the
couple.
remote start.
It is. If you're looking at couples or consoles,
Exactly. Where am I gonna put my cell
It
phone?
might be even standard.
where am I gonna put all the crap that I gotta put in this week?
Well, I think she does have some identification on that car, especially when she goes and does a house inspection or.
Yeah, I would say that the sheriff Mark County
Auto
had,
start.
the sheriff himself is gonna set a magnetic decals that he throws on for parades or stuff like that. He's had a big high profile thing that something puts on there and as fast as he drives, they have to come off it.
St. John EMS Station 420 St. John, standby for page.
Yeah, she's gonna have an official tag on the back end of the vehicle anyway, so she might as well be marked officially also too.
Yeah.
I might end up with a truck out there
St.
in
John EMS
Nebraska.
Station 420 St.
Pardon?
John.
I said I might end up with a truck that I gotta go to Nebraska.
Forestry Road, 5 miles east.
Really?
$6,600. That's pretty good deal. Yeah.
See ya.
I had a whole cab over it.
I'd like, if I could find me a slick old cab over, I'd buy it for a fun truck. That one,
Yep.
you need to drive.
I think I might take it down.
You like a 2-ton?
Get the.
Pardon?
Like a 2-ton or
No,
a
it's
semi?
Semi cab over. I didn't listen to that.
I got the last bid for
5 miles.
$6,600. That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
It's less than $10,000. It's a good deal. And I called the guy, I said, well, I haven't trouble driving that home. Oh. He said,
That's what they always say.
I'll call you then. I got your phone number.
You have 2 10s now, don't you?
I do. I'm gonna put one of them, I'm gonna move my grill fill off of my 1960 Chevy. I'll put one of them. That Chevy just about had it.
We'll go into recess. We'll go back into session, now we'll adjourn.